What a guest we have today. She is an absolute pillar in the Nigerian photography community. She is an industry and thought leader. She is the creator general at the Center for Art and Creative Talent. She is the host of the I Love Your Work podcast. She's a globetrotter. She's a communication strategist. And I'm barely even scratching the surface. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the iconic Aisha Augie.
That actually sounded very serious, like.
So we curated some random questions to ask,
I was thinking we're doing a proper teaching podcast.
No, there's a space for that. Here we're just getting to know you better.
Okay.
Yes? Okay, so we ask photographers, if you were not doing this thing, what other career choices might you have gone with? Yeah. But then it seems like you have just this plethora of things that you're up to anyway, right? So maybe what I should ask is, other than photography, what are some of the exploits? What else are you up to?
So in my kid's voice, I identify as a photographer at all times. Right? But I'm a photographer who does other things.
Right.
So obviously you already mentioned I'm a communication strategist. I'm a creative artist, not just with photography. I like to play with motion, film.
You paint, do you?
I paint.
Right.
Now we're doing animation, AI. There are just so many aspects of the creative space. But I think for me, the main focus has always been how do we get this sector awake and moving?
Right.
It's no longer just about the artists. For us, the struggle was even being accepted that you're doing this. But with the next generation, now what do we put in place to ensure that life is easier for them?
Right.
So I think that's the stage that I'm in at this point in time. So it's more about the ecosystem. What kind of policies? How do we finance it? How do we create more jobs? How do we create something from nothing? That's the constant move right now.
Okay, so you talk about how acceptance was difficult.
Yeah.
So maybe just tell us about that. When you started out, what was the platform like?
Well, so it wasn't really a career. Even when I said to a couple of older people, I'm doing photography, I want to have a studio, it's oh, you will do passport photos. Because that was the limited idea. It's either you're doing studio pictures,
right,
or passport photos.
Right.
Even wedding documentary wasn't a thing. There's just one picture with the whole family, and you send that on a postcard. So things have changed, and for us, I think, that decided to have that aspect of storytelling. For me, I have a mass communications background, so it was automatic.
Right.
It's how do you capture the stories that matter, and how do you put them out? And I was able to have photography as an outlet to share some stories. It's not like now where you have all these gadgets and it's easy,
Yes,
When we started out, it was film. You're sitting down in a dark room, printing, Photoshop, we're dodging and burning with light. So I know it makes me sound very old, but it feels like a gazillion years ago.
No, we've made a lot of progress in a short spell, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these things you're saying are still barely 15 years ago, something like that.
Yes, it feels like a lot of things. I've done anything in the last 15 years. But I'm very proud and happy of the growth, and to see people now having jobs like content creator, set stylist, and lighting. It used to just be like a film set thing. Where you would have all those breakdowns, but now one photographer can create 15 jobs.
Absolutely.
Just by having a studio space.
Absolutely.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's growing. Thank you guys for all of the work that you have done, and
I have others to thank too.
Yeah,
so we keep going generation after generation. Yeah.
Attitude of gratitude. So if you had a warning label.
Warning label, yes.
The yellow, or is it orange triangle, the caution sign. What would yours say?
She dreams too big. Because if you're around me, you get to hear a gazillion ideas, and it's constant. I've been diagnosed with ADHD, so now I understand where my hyperactivity comes from and constantly trying to get, not that I would blame it totally on that, but I've always been a curious person and I get bored a lot. So I think that would be the caution. Nothing is forever. I'm on to the next one and on to the next one. Like I don't feel like I'm attached to anything.
Right.
It's a good and a bad thing.
More good than bad, I think.
So far, so good. At least all the risks I've taken
and they're paying off.
Yeah,
I mean, the impact on various industries, right? The mentoring, the number of people that reach out to me, for example. So, hey guys, I was fortunate enough to photograph her. Maybe I'll put up some of the pictures. The number of people that have reached out to me since then to go, oh wow, what was that like? You know, like, yes, like younger photographers, female photographers especially.
I don't take myself that seriously.
A lot of people take you seriously, rightfully so, you know. So yeah, the idea that your label would be always on to the next one.
Yes. And, too many dreams, and there's not enough time, and we have one life to live.
Yeah.
And I've learned to now sleep also. So it's like much more sleep,
right?
Much more work.
Right.
How do we balance it out? But I'm just always want to implement, even if it's not me. I have handed over so many ideas over the years. As long as it comes to life, I'm good. So I think Fatimamza the other day was telling me to have an ideas book and start selling ideas. I'm like, let the ideas fly. If you hear it,
it's not a bad idea.
It works for you, take it. Take it.
What's odd is, just yesterday I was watching Techno, the musician, and he was talking about something similar. He was being interviewed and asked why was it so easy for him to just write songs and give it to somebody else. And his opinion is, these things need to live, right? They need to be alive. So
if it's kept in that book, who's
you know? I mean, if I just write it or I just come up with a tune and it's in my head, it doesn't exist.
True.
But then when I pass it on to somebody else, the world gets to experience it. I can't do everything, myself. So.
There's so many of my ideas that I see people implement, and I would actually sit down, advise as much as I can. I think another warning would be implementation.
Right.
So because I'm an ideas person, it's very hard to actually implement. So I've learned to have partners and people who are very good at that have that level of consistency and focus, to get things done. Like I said, I'll just get bored.
Does it seem like you don't implement though? It seems like you're always doing something. So how
I implement to a certain degree.
Right.
Do you get my point? So like, for example, I have probably 10, 15 documentaries sitting on hard drives.
No way.
They've been shot. It's just to cut them. And they're still there.
Can I have that hard drive?
You would make a lot of money from it, trust me.
Next question.
Do I get to ask questions too?
That would be a first, but yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Proceed.
Yeah? Mother, father, right? What would you say was the biggest thing that you learned from each of them?
Biggest thing.
Yeah.
So the first thing that comes to mind with my father is I was 11 and he sat me down to talk to me about, when you see people, the language won't be good for here, but when people hug and like idolize other people.
Right.
And at this point, it was during an election season, and the presidential candidate was visiting our house, and the whole street, everybody was running mad. It was just like
it was an event.
I remember being very scared because I had watched this scary movie, and I thought that was happening. Childhood, and I remember being very freaked out. Like, who are all these people and why are they coming into the house and shouting and running at the gates and things like that? And he sat me down and he said, you see all these people, they were once like you. They were kids, they were children. Like, they didn't become what they are today.
Right.
From birth.
Right. Right.
So the first thing you need to look at is that person first, always. Then the other things come on top, because we tend to get carried away with all of these titles or positions
status,
or things like that. So my first interaction is never about just what you do or who you are. you know, there's always like a deeper person. And I come just this holiday, I went through some emotional time, finally coming to terms again that my dad had gone. And I was just thinking about the lessons that I've learned and trying to also put them to my kids. So it's very funny that you ask that, because I just had a really nice 2-3 weeks of reflection and memories just recently. So for with my mom, I don't even know where to start when it comes to the lessons.
She just turned 70.
She just turned 70. Yes. She worked for 45 years.
Oh, wow.
Non-stop.
Oh, wow.
When I say non-stop.
Oh, wow.
You know, and she was able to still survive us. You know. So I think the one thing that I've learned from my mom is integrity, always making sure, regardless of what happens in a room, you have your own voice. Everybody knows this is what you think, and it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, but you've said your own. If they want to proceed and do whatever they want, is on them. You know, so there's that. And of course, consistency, hard work. She's so open to everybody, regardless of who you are. She had, like, her 70th was a carnival. That's the best way I could put it. And to hear over 1,200 people coming to say to me, oh, you know, your mom did this, or I grew up with your mom here, and everybody is happy to come celebrate her. It's been a great lesson. You know, I do hope I can emulate that level of impact. Yes.
You're well on your way.
I hope so.
You're well on your way.
Because it's beautiful to watch.
I was following online, like, you know, everybody else, by her stories and whatnot, and it seemed like such a beautiful night.
It was,
you know, she had one of her teachers.
Yes.
Right?
From primary school. And he was still alive, looking very young. Right. And, you know, she's always very memorable. Honestly, she walks into a room, it doesn't matter, even if she hides.
Right.
She's always, like, people always remember her. And I feel just being able to know that and understand that this life, and my mom is a strong believer in God. She'll always say to me, as a justice, this is me saying it in her voice, as a justice of the Supreme Court, after God is us on earth. So we can't mess up. You're not allowed. Do you understand? Like, you're only answerable to God.
Right.
And she puts that in her day-to-day, like, reminder of, gosh, I'm going to do as much as I can from what I have.
Right.
And it's like, how else do you emulate that in other aspects? You just have to have that constant reminder. So I've learned that from her. I can keep going on and on, gosh. I've learned too much from my mom. Way too much. Good. It's been 43 years of learning.
And there's still more learning to go.
Yes, way more.
It's great to have such richness to draw from.
Honestly,
right?
It is. She's been a blessing.
May God bless them.
Yes, both.
Right?
And all our parents.
I mean...
So, the next question.
You travel a lot. Is there some place that you've been that you never want to go back to? And why?
Goza. But I still want to go back, but, like, I wouldn't go back that same period if you would.
Right.
If you tell me to go back.
Where's Goza for context?
Goza is in Maiduguri.
Right.
It's one of the towns that have suffered insurgencies, and I went for a documentary, and I don't think I've ever been through that much trauma by documenting other people's stories. And it really affected me. And I would never
want to
like, I'm happy to go back
again.
now that they've taken back everything, and it would be nice to see the community back and living,
growing, finding
having
its
life. But that's the first place that came to mind, and the trauma of it all.
When was this trip?
2015 or 2016.
Right.
Yeah. It's still traumatized. The helicopter didn't come back for me. I was meant to just do an hour and leave, and I stayed the night.
No way.
Ended up in the camp, you know.
No way.
Went through what these people went through for just those many hours.
Yeah.
And imagine my trauma. So imagine them who've lived it.
Yeah.
It was not, I think that's probably the only Everywhere else, I don't mind.
Oh wow. Were you alone?
For that work,
Yeah.
we were two.
Okay.
We were two of us, but we went on separate ways.
Right.
One was working with another agency, so we went to two different areas. I had a soldier with me,
Okay.
and once it was time for curfew, he was like, I can't even protect you.
No
Do you understand?
way.
Like, I can't protect you, so the best I can do is take you to a humanitarian hub, and hopefully they would open up. So luckily I had a letter, and they were able to give me a space and everything to stay for the night.
No
And it
way.
was just one of those situations where, you know, we document, we do our work, and we move. We
Right.
don't really get to immerse ourselves,
Right.
especially those who are brought in on quick jobs like that, quick commissions like that. But for people who live it, that's why I know a lot of war photographers that can't live in normal places anymore. They look for places where there's chaos, because they just feel they've been through it long enough that it's taking over.
It's
the
become
way
the
they
norm
think.
for them.
Yes. So being safe doesn't feel good for them. I don't ever want to be that person. I love adrenaline style photography, but
Right.
that was over the top.
So did the helicopter come back the next day?
Yes.
Was it the same pilot?
Same guy.
Did you strangle him?
No, it wasn't him. They actually shut down the airspace. There was shelling going on between the two different camps, so they shut down the airspace, and there were no phone calls allowed. If you needed to make a phone call, only 2 people had a satellite phone.
That wasn't it.
Yeah.
Like
they
expect.
shut it down to stop the communication
No, what I mean
amongst
is
them.
from you.
Yes.
You're waiting and
They don't know
no
if I'm
communicate.
fine.
Right.
I couldn't tell them I was fine, you know. So it was
Oh,
the next
no.
day. Yeah, it was. So I had some people from another agency who we now went together and waited, and
man.
there was the helicopter.
Here I was expecting an answer that had something to do with, so place had terrible food and I don't want to
No,
experience it.
no.
Oh wow.
No.
I didn't think we were going in this direction
No,
at
and
all.
we actually did an exhibition. We couldn't exhibit the images that I made. We could only take a couple because it was just too much. It was too much to the kind of stories I would never wish on even my worst enemy, you know. But I'm happy to see the changes now,
Right.
and the government taking everything back. And we're still doing documentaries on rehabilitation. The 10th year anniversary of some of these things are coming up.
Okay.
And to be able to have those stories for a span of 10 years
Right.
is something that even I look forward to, remembering many of the things that we did then.
Wow.
So we'll see.
I don't know how I've come out of that. Sometimes it's the not knowing,
Yes,
right?
that's a trauma. No, but the trauma for me was obviously getting the kind of stories that I did. They were very traumatizing stories. I wouldn't even want to talk about them. Then meeting these people and seeing people like you and I, like people who their parents had sent them to school abroad, for example, and they were like the rich kids of the community, and there they are, with nothing. So you have so many stories there that were very impactful, that would make you think and rethink. I think that's probably one of the worst times as a photographer, but I didn't even realize it until a year later. I had major anxiety for a year,
Right.
but I didn't realize that was the trigger and anything connected to that. So the things we do for the job. So that's why I always tell young people, get your mental health straight.
Right.
You need to know what you can and cannot do.
Right.
I removed myself from many groups because I can't see these stories and just look at them and pass. And I won't sleep for a couple of days. So learn to know what you can handle and what you can't. Yeah.
Ooh.
But yes.
When is that exhibition happening? Now I want to.
Next year.
I'm sold now. I want to
Next
see. I want to
year.
see those images.
Next year we'll ask Oga Mike in the background.
Finance guy.
But it would be preferable to say which ones would you go back to? All. So whoever wants to hire me to travel to any of their countries, feel free.
Is there an image you've come across, you've seen somewhere, an exhibition, online, whatever, or a body of work that you've seen another photographer create that you looked at and thought, I wish I created that?
Many. I see them every day. I see them every day. Like, I look at a lot of street photography. I love that. I love when I know that it's reality. It's not staged.
Right.
You know, to see the way a person sighted at that moment. Like, I always feel like I was standing there at that moment, imagining being in that space.
Right.
So I can't pick one and say I wish. You know, I think Afghan Girl was an extremely inspiring image for me.
Right.
And I've always thought in my mind, the fact that you could catch a story so big and then 20 years later go back, find that person. You know, so
okay, that happened 2 decades later.
Girl, they found her.
Okay.
You went on a journey and it was documented.
How different did she look?
Through the eyes, quite different. She's been through it in life. So she looked older than she should have been, but they used her eyes and the lenses and things like that to confirm. So, you know, Bernard
Kabeni is a king.
Yes.
Like every time I message him, I go King Bernard. Like, I don't know if he finds it weird or anything, but I'm like, King, like, I respect.
No, every time I see images, I'm like, I should have shot this, but I love it, you know, and I think he's probably one of the people that I've actually bought prints from. Right, okay. You know, apart from Almajiri.
Ahmad.
There's one more that I recently got,
Ridwan Salam.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Oh,
I think these are the 3 people that I've bought, gone out of my way to buy prints. And of course, we have so many people, but when I look at their images, it's the same kind of eye with which I would look at stories. Right. And seeing it there is just like, oh, I wish I was there. Not necessarily I wish I shot that photo. Right. But like, it would be nice to be there to have experienced that moment that they captured.
I'm not as familiar with Ridwan's work, but Ahmad and Bernard. Excellent, magnificent photographers, in my opinion. There's something about Bernard's images. So, being mainly a portrait photographer, I have control. Yes. Right? I'll sit this way, but it feels like with how busy Lagos is, how is he able to catch that?
And these moments, like, it literally looks like slow motion. Like, when you're looking at it, you can tell the chaos. Yes. But then you have this thing right there.
How are you seeing all of this composition and storytelling in the chaos that is the typical Lagos street?
That is what I love. Like, if you leave me out there, I need to sit down and actually bring out images.
Sometimes I wonder how people's minds are, right? Like, it must be the beach in Bernard's head. Like, there's a calm.
Yes. That is the best way to put it. There's a calm to the chaos.
Right.
Because you see it and you're like, how? I'm imagining, I remember a trip, there's Uche, we were in film, we did a film class or something together. I can't remember what it was, with British Council. Okay. And we went to the market.
James Zero?
No,
okay.
Female Uche.
Oh, okay.
So we went to the market and the chaos. It wasn't even inside the market, the street in front of the market, and we had to like find images. I remember moving away from it all and going under the bridge. Everything I documented was under the bridge. Because like, when the people are moving, I felt like my oxygen was being taken away. And so I always see, when I see people do that, I'm like, wow, I really wish. But beautiful work. Beautiful. Of course, if we start mentioning people who are doing, even the studio work you're talking about, it's not, for me, it's not, I love it. Right. Aisha Augie and I back in the day would spend forever in the studio experimenting. But for me, it's that connection to reality is always more nicer. More nice. It's nicer to me. Yeah. Nice.
I appreciate it, but I'm a portraits, conversation, tea person.
Cheers to that.
Yes. So, there is a war.
A war or a war?
War. Yaki. War. On the one side, photographers. Who do you think would be on the other side?
I swear the worst thing came to my mind.
Let's hear
Say
it.
animals.
I wonder why.
Why
I was
exactly?
seeing lions and elephants. Photographers who will be on the other side.
Yes.
Okay, I'll create context. In weddings, it's the videographers. Because they're always fighting each other.
For space.
For space, yes.
And I don't know why some feel more superior to the other, depending on
what kind of space
they're in.
It's a very interesting
Photographers
dynamic.
and I don't know why these animals are just seeing. I'm sorry.
I can't help it. And I saw horses running towards
Charging at the front line.
photographers versus why can't I think of anything beyond that?
So you mentioned wedding photography, and these days it feels like photographers and videographers get along better than
No, they're
do
getting
with
better, I swear.
makeup artists. Like makeup artists
that
are
is
the
true.
new enemies
That
at
is
weddings,
true. Because
right?
they delay.
They take all the
And
time.
they become photographers themselves because they're tired of begging
have to
all
create
you
content.
photographers to give them their photos.
Yeah, to be fair, we
So
weren't
they
we
create
weren't
their
good
own.
with that.
Yes,
you
terrible.
know? Yeah, we're terrible with that.
So now they come with their own kits and their own photographers and ring lights.
And all of that.
The thing that annoys me about it is I'm all for, of course, I mean, I need them to even do their work to make mine easier and all of that. The problem I have is everybody allows the makeup artists do their thing. They will take 3 hours.
Yep.
Then they give you 10 minutes.
Yep.
And during those 10 minutes, everybody's like, you're taking too much time.
We need
Where
to
are you?
hurry.
I'm like,
The mommy is waiting.
you guys
The
have
mommy
been
is waiting.
sitting around doing nothing, not complaining. It's my 10 minutes that's the problem, you know? So how makeup artists get away with it?
I think,
you know?
But they should also, we also now have the collaborations now. Almost every photographer has a makeup artist that they work with. I think it's just for everybody to understand.
Yeah, just,
Including the families, because let's not necessarily blame the makeup artist. The families are patient when it comes to the makeup artist,
exactly.
to the stylist and all of that.
Not
but with
so
the
much
photographer,
the
it's like
photographer.
you just need one picture now. Wait till
Meanwhile, it's our work that's forever.
Exactly. Those seconds. But well, everybody's learning and things are becoming smoother now. So
definitely getting better. So you can't really think about enemies.
I can't think of enemies of photographers. I can't. Maybe lawyers.
No, okay. It's not
Lawyers who
widespread.
fight for those who steal from photographers. Yes. The lawyers who fight for those who have stolen from our people.
No disrespect to lawyers, but I generally don't see any good lawyers. In my head, I'm
Are
like,
you serious?
oh, your mom is a justice.
That is exactly. I'm like,
Injustice is a lawyer.
Oops.
I love it.
but you know what? We'll allow it. We'll allow it because we're all talking from our own biases and our own spaces and all of that. So a lot of people have experienced bad lawyers, to be honest.
I think, I wouldn't say I've personally experienced bad lawyers. It's the idea, and I could be wrong, it's the idea that you have to look for, by any means, defend your client. And that could lead you to saying some half-truths sometimes. Or total lies. You know, just to make sure that Aisha doesn't go to jail or doesn't get...
But they will tell you it's all about the evidence. Innocent until proven guilty. And now you've put all lawyers guilty until proven innocent. You know, but I think that's also another space where there's going to be a lot of collaborations in the near future because especially in entertainment law, IP law, things like that, we'll definitely have to find a way to find those who also connect to this side of things and understands it and are able to fight for the rights of our people.
Right.
You know, so it shouldn't be just from the perspective of the people that they defend.
Right. I can't believe I said, like I brought up this.
And it must come out. It must come out in your court. If you people don't bring it out, me and you will fight. All the lawyers in Nigeria, Nigerian Bar Association, come for him.
I'm sitting with somebody whose mom is... Wow.
That's why I was like, really? Did you hear the tone in my voice change?
Interesting. This is the problem with, live, like.
And I wanted to
Be a lawyer too. I started studying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why didn't you see it through?
I had issues with cultists.
No way.
So I had to move away to another school.
Okay.
So that happened.
Okay. Let's not expand on that. Let's just
People have
move
been
on.
through things in this life. People have been through
You should write a book.
I actually should.
You should write a book.
I've decided now that I'll write one paragraph a day. And
Yeah.
I'm saying this to keep myself accountable.
Right.
Anybody who sees this, be sending me a question. Did you write today's paragraph?
And I understand.
Whenever you're watching this, ask.
One
Did you write
paragraph a
today's
day for at
paragraph?
least 20 years. I will have a book.
When you shoot, what is one thing that you can't do without?
The camera.
Yeah, of course the camera. Some people have favorite lenses. Some people say music, or
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think?
I
is
like
that
shooting
thing?
on the road. So I guess interaction, being able to be in a community that already knows you,
Right.
that don't really see you. There's a difference. You walk into a space and everybody's staring like, who's this?
Right.
But in communities where you've already engaged with them back to back, like they don't even care what you're shooting anymore.
Right.
And especially if you do send them back the images that you've made, they're comfortable in their own spaces.
Yeah.
They see that you've documented them in respectful ways, and they're just happy to be seen as they are because they understand now that they don't need to pose.
Right. Exactly.
And you will get certain types of images. So I think interaction, being able to be in comfortable spaces, and still get the stories that matter.
Right.
So that would be, but it's not a thing, is it? A thing.
No,
thing,
but
like
it
a
works.
physical thing.
No, it doesn't have to be a physical thing. It works. For me, it's turare water.
I noticed.
Come to think of it, I noticed.
For me, it's turare
There's
water. I
always
don't know.
turare burning.
Yeah. I
Are
mean,
you
some
from
people
Maiduguri?
even. No, I'm not. I don't even know where I get it from. It's just.
You have to think back, like when's the first memory of terari? Could it be maybe that it's attached to a memory, so every time you smell it, it makes you feel happy? So it's probably...
It could be that, and for some weird reason, it reminds me of when I first got married. How the house would always smell.
Exactly.
Right? So
you have a
maybe-
good reason.
Maybe it's tied to that
Because
in
our
some
scents
way.
and smells is always connected to a memory somewhere.
Right. The two places that mean the most to me is my house and my studio.
Yeah.
Right? So
So
maybe
you keep them cleansed.
right, maybe that's
Are
what
you,
it is.
are you cleansing with sage?
I don't
and-
believe there's any juge around here.
You're the one who insinuated that, it's not me.
There was a look in your eyes when you did this. you
No,
know.
I was just thinking about it, like imagining him walking into the studio and holding his terrari and cleansing the space and saying, "Oh, you evil spirits, get out of here."
Which is funny because sometimes I just walk in the mornings. I like being here in the mornings. It's
Yeah.
quiet, there's not much
It's
going
nice.
on, and then take a lap, right? And just walking around the tour in my hand. So yeah, if somebody had a video of me doing that, that could be interpreted
See?
so many
As
different
you-
ways.
But like I said, everybody comes to you with their own biases.
That's true.
You
That's
know?
true. Absolutely.
Some people burn terrari just for burning sick. Some people do it based on other things.
Right. My clients like it.
No, it's
They-
always nice and homely. It makes the
Right.
space feel, like your home.
Right.
Especially for those of us up north. And now everybody's catching on really. There's
Right.
always incense burning or one oil burning or the
Right,
other.
yeah.
With scents.
Yeah. I don't want to say advise women. Right? I'm sure you get a
I
lot
just
of
feel
that.
Like if Khaleegraphy asks me, what does it feel like to be a female photographer?
Photographer?
I am walking out. I said it, so I'm very
I'm
proud
glad
of you. I'm very proud of you for not asking that. Okay.
But there are a lot of people who watch my channel who, are finding their way in the industry. I mean, I'm still finding my way in the
Yeah.
industry. And I just like to get...
I think we all are. Nobody ever gets it 100%. Everybody, it's like you get to another level and it's a different challenge.
Right.
So I don't think anybody ever.
No, and that's so
We're
true.
always finding your way.
That's so
the
true.
End.
Like whatever it is you're going through at the moment, it feels like once I conquer this, I'll be good.
But then you get on to the next challenge.
That's true.
Now see a lot of photographers now learning AI.
Yeah, exactly.
They're now ensuring that, oh my God, I'm about to lose my job. But if you keep doing it, it doesn't matter. There's still people who till tomorrow, if it is batik or tie and dye, they're going back to the guys who have done it the way it's always been.
Absolutely.
And everything is way more expensive when it is the historical way of doing things.
True.
So some of us will remain archaic.
I mean, I want to sound like the entire industry is watching, but
pressure.
Just photography, photographers.
Yes.
How to be their best selves, so to speak.
Apart from already doing what you're doing, because I know it's hard and I know many people see the opportunities that come with this, and there's almost always now like a glamorous thing to it, carrying the camera and being seen walking into this space and, being the bad of that. I think for me, just don't get lost in the optics. There are a lot of people who will always continue to learn.
Right.
And the more you learn, the more authentic your art or whatever it is you're putting out becomes. So never stop learning. I think that would be my main thought. Like I said, nobody has it perfect.
Right.
I want to get into some proper learning of old school black and white images. I realized it doesn't matter how much I edit. Even if I shoot black and white in camera.
Right.
There's just this thing about the way it used to be, And now you have apps that are also giving you the feel of it.
Right.
But I think that old school technique is also something I want to relearn again. So just keep learning and don't be like us. Always connect it also to the business. Make your money. For many of us, we focus so much on the art and the skills that we lost out on earning a living. And what that does to you is when you get to a point where your job becomes very frustrating or stressed out and you don't have the money to balance for holiday, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to learn to take care of yourself also and have a savings just for you. Be happy, because the creative life is actually quite hectic. The brain is always working. Always. So just keep at it and learn, unlearn, relearn. Keep going.
Thank you very much, Creator General.
Podcaster, moderator, speaker, artist, acrylic artist, filmmaker.
Documentary hoarder.
True. Trainer, trainee. Mentor, mentee. Policy advisor.
Okay, so
politician.
We
keep going. What else?
Yes. Are you running? Do you have any plans?
2027.
To run again?
Let God keep us.
Inshallah.
Oh, I'm already the creator general. Maybe.
Maybe that's why we have a flag behind you.
Nah, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
I think I need a little bit of a break for now, mentally first, and then in the next couple of months, we'll see. If it's something we still want to do, we start working towards it.
We'll support.
But I'm glad that many young people are now
getting into
and I always used to say as a creative person that we didn't really have a space in politics, but everything has changed.
It's changing. Absolutely.
We now understand we all have a say, we all have a stake. Even as photographers, what are the kind of stories you're telling? Is it creating an impact? Is it educating people? What value is it adding to society? We need to also think about that as we're putting out things, It's not just from the perspective of expression, but what kind of expression are you putting out and what value does it add? It's always a good question to ask yourself.
Thank you for sharing that. So let's close out by, please share with us the I Love Your Work podcast.
Oh, yes.
And
Season 2 is coming.
okay, please tell us about that.
So it's just a podcast based on people that I find inspiring.
Okay.
And it's basically giving them their flowers to tell them, you know, I love your work.
Right.
And I love your work.
Hey.
I'm saying it so we can. Maybe I'll steal this podcast and put it on. But yeah,
it's just showing that these are people that have inspired me personally. I'm sure maybe it will grow into something else later.
Right.
But it's just a platform for me to tell these people that I appreciate what they've done and what they
continue to do, and hopefully that inspires, even if it's just one person, to learn from them, to also learn from their experiences. Unfortunately, I'm not as consistent. There's no timeline attached to it.
With how busy you tend to be, you've done well to have the episodes.
Same thing. I have like 9 episodes ordered waiting in the hard drive, but they will come up soon.
So at least we're sure season 2 will come out.
Definitely.
Right? Okay.
Definitely.
So the Center for Art
and
Creative Talent.
Yes.
You seem to be a spotter of talents. Like, it feels like I found out by a lot of people via your page. You took a picture with them or something, right? Is that
and they
in
find
some
me
way?
Two-way street.
I saw a picture some time ago that had Mariam, Allah and Islam, and Femi. Amazing. Right?
From way back.
Yeah, it was a bit of an old picture,
Yes,
three of you together. I'm thinking, how does she find...
was there. Shireen was there. There's a whole bunch of people that...
Right, I kept thinking...
we had visited Femi.
Okay.
We went as a group and he was doing a mural. So we had visited him. Okay. And I'm very proud of where he is today. He's becoming an international artist, as you can see.
Doing very well.
Yeah. So I love creative people. I
saw the picture and kept wondering, how did she... Because I know Femi from school. I know Mariam because she's married to my cousin. And these two people are like this. So I'm like, how are you in the middle? Like, you know?
I'm always around all sorts of people.
Right.
I think we find ourselves as kindred spirits, as people who understand the space that we're in
and are willing to actually fight for it. I think that's the beauty of the kind of people that I get to interact with. They inspire me. You know, it was on the
podcast that Alhan reminded me that I met her when she was a teenager.
Oh, okay.
Do you understand? And it's like, wow, time just keeps going. I'm not really thinking these things. It's more like natural, and we interact, we connect. And I'm always happy that people always want to give up. Early stages, you're young, you're thinking, is this what I really want to do? I should probably just follow the regular path. And I had 1 or 2 people in my life that told me you could. Everybody else says you couldn't. So for me, I like being that voice that is there for them and to make them understand that we can keep trying. Failure does not mean you are useless. It's okay. If you try something, you learn from it doesn't work out, move on to the next
thing and try again, or fix and innovate and look at what you've done and see how best you can fix it. Sometimes it's only from trying that you can learn. So I think that's really what it is, and I'm very proud of all these people you mentioned. Very proud.
All great people.
I've not really had time lately to hang out with them, but we're always in touch, and at least watching them and seeing them as beautiful.
Their growth.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm wondering...
And they're also training people now.
Yeah, you know.
They're also mentoring, and they're also inspiring.
That's the beauty of it.
So it's beautiful to watch.
So I wonder if this talent spotting, so to speak, has anything to do with this center.
Well, it's
what happened?
So the center has been open since 2012.
Okay.
But in different spaces, we've collaborated with different people. And when I moved to Kebbi, it kind of slowed down a little bit. Obviously, I got carried away. But we've had some teams behind the scenes doing stuff. Some of these documentaries are connected to the foundation and all of that. But now I have a bit of time to give it a little bit more structure. Because our focus was on the artists themselves in the past. And now we're looking at the ecosystem. Who are the people who are creating the opportunities for these artists? And how can we support them? So that their tentacles can spread a little bit more. So that's what the foundation is about. In fact, we were trying to recently break it down into how's the best way to say what we do.
Okay.
You know, and it's just basically being at the intersection of talent, financing, and intellectual property. Do you understand? How do we ensure that these people safeguard what they do? They understand their rights. They know what they need to do with it. Financing, where is it coming from? Where are the funds? What kind of data can we collect, research to support this sector? And then, of course, the talent.
The talent.
How do we make them more visible? How do we support them to grow and build their own talent? So that's really what it's about.
Well, I'll keep following up. I wish you the best of luck.
Because you're coming to train people for us.
I'm finally allowing myself to enter that space where I go, okay, yes, of course I should.
But you've been doing well with your own classes, so.
Yeah, I had a good time. The poetry workshop was great fun. I felt like I was drained completely at the end of it, right? But I actually enjoyed it.
But it gets better the more you do, and then you just build a community, your own community. You know that today, if you pick up the phone, there's something about to happen. You have a group of people that will show up and also enjoy it with you. And I think one of the main things for me is with these trainings is there are times that even you would need support.
Absolutely.
And you have nobody to back you up. If you're sick and you're not available, who's doing the
shoot? Right, absolutely.
You still need to have people that are at par or even better than you to help and support in the system. So it's not just about them also, it's about you. It's like feeding off each other, symbiotic relationship. So it's for us to just have we have many communities. I think that's the thing about Abuja. Everybody has their own little groups, you know. So I'm hoping that this can be a bigger group where everybody comes together.
So there's a project, there's a thing that I'm working on. I'll tell you when the cameras go off.
Okay. Right? Sorry, it's not for you.
I want all of these little groups to come together for this one thing. And I'm optimistic. I think I can pull it off.
Well, now you have the Center for Arts to support.
Yay! Great. Okay, so you've been good with us. Thank you very much for giving us your time.
Thank you.
For answering our random, sometimes silly questions.
I actually expected worse.
What? I have to.
We now ended up with very serious questions.
We ended up being serious, you know, but we have to, the Office of the Creator General has to be treated seriously, so.
I have to keep reminding people. Where is Naufal? Naufal gave me this name. Like every time I hear it, I have to fix myself. I can't let you people down.